comment at the moment, I will suspend the rest of the statement. And we will turn it over to the superintendent for comments.
Good evening, board members. I have just hopefully some short, brief, but meaningful comments today. First, I just want to make sure that I understand that there's a lot of restlessness, hurt, and fear after the events in Texas last week. I understand not only as the leader of our school system, but as a parent of young children myself. It's been a difficult past week to have conversations with your own kids about what happened, let alone lead a district of over 9,000 students. We not only want to always keep our kids in our sight, but we also don't want to let harm in their way. If you read my brief last week, you know that I spoke about and shared with you all the many measures that we're taking and continuously looking to figure out different ways to not only provide support for students, but to also increase and improve our safety in our schools. There's nothing more important than safety for our students and our staff. Parents trust us every day. They send us their best every day, and our responsibility is to take care of their children. A large part of this is always knowing who's in our schools at all times. When visitors walk in to our doors, who are they, where are they, why are they here, where are they headed, who are they going to see at all times. That means sometimes main entrances need to be manned, doors need to be secured, and sometimes video needs to be monitored for surveillance. To this end, we've obviously increased our safety personnel in our budget, and next year we continue to upgrade some of our software systems, our door monitors, so that we can make sure we have a more secure environment to protect our kids once they're in our presence. I do want to thank our students, parents, and staff, obviously including our CEOs this year, who continue to all work together to be a collective unit. We've really tried to emphasize this see something, say something approach because it's the only way we can be proactive. Our students and staff continue to be vigilant when they see things, they report things. Jeff Russo had an influx of communications, obviously, given the situation, and we're going to continue to address those. This is no joke, and even if you think it's a joke, we are going to take every threat seriously. I'll pivot here for something a little less seriously, something more celebratory. I was able to attend the Bill Ziskin Celebration of Life about a week and a half ago. I didn't know Mr. Ziskin, but I can tell you I left after those 2 hours feeling like it was somebody I wanted to be like. It was amazing to hear his former students, the celebrations, and I look forward to finishing the dedication to him and naming the theater in his honor in December. I also had the opportunity to attend the IB Showcase yesterday, another hidden gem here in Schenectady we don't share enough about. I really enjoyed hearing the students speak. They hit the nail on the head when they spoke about things like pollution and things that can be done to reduce waste and clear the air. It was also done in Spanish, so it was a little biased for me. It was fantastic.
I was going to say that.
But I'm thrilled to share that we are also looking into a Green Schools initiative in our school buildings to bring back things like recycling and being more proactive with our footprint here as a school system. We will be holding a community partners meeting in the next couple weeks to talk about how we advance our community schools initiative. You've heard me talk about it with the budget process, but this is going to be our first big step. Dr. Cotto has already started to put things in motions. We have over 150 invitees. These are agencies, not-for-profit organizations, for-profit organizations, community-based organizations that are right here in our backyard that want to support students, faith-based organizations. And so we know that collectively we can make more of an impact in our schools, and so we will be having that event. I believe it's at Liberty Church, and we will make sure the board gets that invite as well. I also want to say congratulations are in order for our girls and boys track team. They brought home 13 ribbons, 10 sectional patches from the Section 2 championship last week. The 400-meter relay team won the championship. Special congratulations to Jelani Wells, Deron Davis, Dior Roberts, and Che Samuel. Also, congratulations to Devon Miller, who last week was presented with the Scholar Athlete Award by the National Football Foundation at the College Hall of Fame. Really big deal. Yeah, definitely. I'm going to close out my comments with a couple of just reminders of important events coming up. High school prom is coming up this Friday. I'm excited to be a part of the first Schenectady walk-in prom. I've been hearing like that is bigger than sometimes the prom, the walk-in event. We're going to be live streaming the walk-in on our Instagram page, so please stay tuned. We had the senior art show will be opening up in the Buttsell Gallery. Opening reception will be held on June 7th at 5:30. The high school Pops concert is June 8th at 6:30 p.m. The Blue Rose Theater Company will present a student-written play series Friday, June 7th at 7 p.m. Again on Saturday, June 11th
Friday,
at
10th.
2.
June 10th.
I'm sorry, June 10th. Yep, and Saturday, June 11th at 2 and 7 p.m. It's their final performance of the school year, so if you can please stop by and check it out, you will leave amazed. Lastly, keep an eye out for multiple end-of-the-year celebration. Tomorrow night is the Steinmetz Career Leadership Academy Awards Night, and then Schenectady High School's Awards Nights will be held on June 7th. And obviously, the biggest celebration of all is only 23 days away with graduation. That concludes my comments.
Thank you. Erica?
No comment.
Nolani?
So Superintendent Soler has pretty much touched on everything that I had, but I did want to remind everybody that June 10th is coming up, Sunday, June 19th. The Hamilton Hill Arts Center is hosting an event both at Vail and Central Park on Friday, June 17th, and Saturday, June 18th, if anyone is available.
Thank you. Jamaica?
Couple things. The soccer clinic has begun. It began last week right here at the high school, grades, is it 2 through 6 or 3 through 6? I don't know. I know that there's a fifth grader. There's a fifth grader that's doing it. And I forgot how much I love being a soccer mom and being out on the field and a bunch of kids running around, and they were doing different drills. It was really awesome to just be a part of it and to see all of these young people participate in what hopefully becomes a feeder program for our upper grade levels. Also, it is Pride Month, yay, June 1st, and there are a number of community events that are coming up that I imagine staff and families will be participating in. There's a progressive flag raising at City Hall at 9 a.m. on Saturday. Saturday's a super busy day. It's also Kids Arts Fest on Saturday from 12 to 4 at City Hall, and Schenectady Pride at Gateway Plaza from 2:30 to 6. So lots to do outside in the beautiful weather, community events. Yeah, I think that's it.
Thank you. Bernice?
Good evening, everyone. I do want to highlight some events. The Sales School of Fine Arts Dance Department presented their Project Dance Field Show. Unfortunately, I was not able to attend, but I watched the video, and it was wonderful. I want to thank the students, dance faculty members, Moses, Oscar, Eric Hatch, and Sheila Laus, who incorporated about 260 students, and I stole that from his briefing, Superintendent's Soler's briefing, but the video is amazing. They had different genres of music from hip hop, Broadway, pop to Afro beats. It was great to see. I also want to thank Mount Pleasant Middle School Dance Advisory Group, directed by Lindsay Retnick. They started off the event, I believe, with the middle school. Again, wonderful. It was mentioned that there were about 1,000 families, community members that attended. It was really great. It's right on our website if you want to watch the video, but it was great. Although I did not attend, I do want to shout out MLK. I was away last week, out of state, but MLK hosted their annual international night, and I heard from community members that it was a very, very nice event. So I just want to shout out that event as well. Schenectady Smiles is on June 7th. It's at 10 a.m., but this is the first time it's coming back since COVID-19, and the rain date is June 8th, and it'll be in front of City Hall. I also wanted to mention that Howe Elementary School did a kindness chalk walk, and you can see that on our website as well. And Keene Family Fun Day and Girls on a Run was also a great event. I want to also shout out Schenectady High School hosted a Zumba fundraiser for the Ukraine, and there were many teachers that were involved in Zumba, and they raised about $650 for the Ukraine. And there were also community members that also hosted some events for Ukraine. And I also want to congratulate everyone that's in the audience that's here for Tenure. It's exciting. It is like, yay, after 4 years. So Congratulations to all of you. You have earned it. 4 years of a lot of work, of a lot of stress, of a lot of, oh, COVID, oh my gosh, what am I gonna do next? How am I gonna do it? So congratulations to all of you, and thank you for coming here tonight. Good evening. Thank you.
Ann?
Well, everybody's just about covered everything. I just have a couple things to add. Last Thursday at the International Night, my side was starting off, they're giving free family memberships to every student in the Schenectady School District. And so they started passing those out at that event. And I'm really excited about that. I think that gives a lot of great opportunities for our students. And with summer coming up, hopefully parents will take advantage of it and get their kids down to my side and check it out. With regard to the Pops concert, I know the concert starts at 6:30, and it's always the best concert. It's so much fun. But the piano recital starts at 6. So I encourage everyone, if they can, get here at 6 so you can watch the piano students show their talent.
And that's June 8th?
That is June 8th. And we have a conflict on the 7th because it's also a Friends of Music meeting. So if anyone's interested in Friends of Music, if you're interested in joining, if you want to support your students or your children, feel free to contact Aaron Zhang about more information about that. And lastly, I really wanted to thank Anibal and Dr. Cotto for coming to the memorial service for Bill Ziskin, because you didn't know him, and he was so loved, and it was really a wonderful, wonderful service. And this auditorium was packed, and it was really amazing to see people who came from all over the country and from out of the country to participate. And that's all.
I would also like to comment on Bill Ziskin's memorial service. In addition to the normal presenters, there were many alumni who came back to contribute, and the talent that they have, many of them are in professional capacities at this point, and largely due to the efforts of Bill Ziskin. So we look forward to completing the process of naming the Black Box Theater for him in December. I also would like to mention that I attended the IB program. I call it their capstone projects that was held in the library yesterday. So in addition to the pollution video that was in Spanish, there was also notable boards in Arabic and in French related to pollution. And in truth, I had forgotten that we were still teaching Arabic. I knew we had taught it several years ago, but I thought that it had been lost as one of the languages that we taught in the school district. Some of the other ones were a review of literature, and they were looking at literature that covered 3 centuries, 5 continents, had a global issue, and they had a whole line of inquiry. This is a very comprehensive program. This is a very difficult program and exciting at the same time, because there are so many opportunities there. And I hope that we'll be able to have more of our young people involved in the IB program. There was a circulatory system game that 2 of the students had developed. So we were refreshing our memories on leukocytes and what the ventricle was doing and all those kinds of things. There was the Ghost Story movie was reviewed by one student, and cherry pie played a significant role in that. So you need to follow up and figure out what that was all about. We had one student who has developed an app that our high school students may see in next year's way of signing into the school. We had a CAS project, and I've forgotten what the CAS stands for. Community Act. My mistake for not writing that down. We had
It's like Community Active Service or
something like that. Yeah, it has to do with the service. We had the review of the entire IB diploma program. We had a person read a very personal poem that she had written, and it was noted that a lot of the artwork that is on display in the Butzel Gallery is the work of the IB students as a capstone project in art. As I said, there was IB chemistry. We started out, and all of us backed away. I'll point this out, because they were wearing safety glasses and everything else, but it was hydrochloric acid being combined with magnesium and a flame in order to create hydrogen gas. So these are the kinds of things that our young people have been able to do, and as part of their involvement in either the IB diploma program or certificated programs. The other thing I was able to do was to represent the board this morning at Oneida Middle School, where the OSAR students raised their flag for Pride Month. We got it in just before the rains hit. I don't know how we had timed it quite so well, but because those were supposed to come later. But it's a meaningful ceremony for them and for many of the students in that school. And perhaps at some point we'll be able to expand that. So those are just a few, and as has been mentioned by everyone else, the month of June is extremely busy. And I congratulate all of the people participating in these activities. Okay, so at this point, we would like to move on to a resolution appointing certain employees' tenure. And I need to note that we will be pulling from this resolution initially the name of Oriana Miles, and we will vote that separately afterwards. So I have a resolution appointing certain employees' tenure, and I'll accept a motion to approve these items.
So moved, Bernice.
Bernice? Second? And? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that motion carries. And at this point, I would like to read those names.
Do we want them to?
And maybe people could stand if they happen to be in attendance, and we'll
Could we do
do.
Oriana's first?
We could do, okay, I was going to do it the other way, but let's move the motion for a resolution appointing Oriana Miles for tenure, and I'll accept a motion, I'll accept a recommendation for that motion.
So moved.
And
Second?
Noelani? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
I abstain.
So we have all the names now. So we have Erica McFarland, Director of Intervention Services, and appointment on tenure in administration. I think my computer has frozen. Okay. We have appointments on tenure, instructional personnel. We have Dina Allen, or is it Dinah? I'm sorry. Dina? Brian Anderson.
Don't be shy. Brian Anderson. No, we're not here. That's okay. Next one.
Hillary Beck. Kristen Boyer. Wonderful. Ethan Brooks McDonald.
Nope, no Ethan. Not here.
Interesting. Susan Bruckman. Catherine Butler. Zachary Butts. Victoria Candida. Jack, or is it Jack Cohn? Samantha Dow. Jennifer Drake. Amy Ignazik. Natasha Ferguson. Eileen Fish. Kara Gilhooly. Lindy Gower. Heidi Harlow. Alexander Jacobson. Lexi Klein. Catherine Leupold. I thought so. Sydney Lucier. Tyler Magyar. Pamela Mele. Oriana Miles. Kimberly Manier. Gregory Nelson. Pietrina Orza. Karen Ozols. Kristen Padula. Lindsay Rior. Shannon Riddick. Sebastiani Rios? Yes! I hope I got that right.
Sebasani.
Sebasani, is
Yes,
that,
right.
that, I'm sorry.
It's all right.
Lindy Sanger. Jim Lee Sarkar. Kisser Savage. Andrea Shaver. Erica Simpson. Heather Wells. Crystal Wheeler Cleland. Colleen Zando. Let's give them all a round of applause.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. So we now will take a 15-minute break to enjoy some refreshments in the hallway to celebrate the accomplishments of all these staff members. And welcome to all the families who have accompanied them here.
We got cupcakes and stuff in the hallway. Take some pictures. Find your principals. Principals, find your teachers.
I am so hot. This is not working out in my favor.
Did you hear me?
You cracked a little.
I'm such a suck for this stuff. I started to cry.
Right.
I'm such a suck for that. I started to cry. I think it's so wonderful. We have all these teachers that are so dedicated and weird because so many of them actually came after they were invited. I'm worried there's not enough food.
I knew him more so because, like, I didn't really know him because I was in theater kid, but I knew who he was. But my mom was the secretary of the FA grade. She knew him when I was sub. He was a great guy. So when did the regular the same as here? Well, June like 22nd. Yeah. No, we follow the regular school schedule. I need to contact him.
here.
There's always something.
Yeah, so I don't know how I messed up my schedule so badly and where they start. But then that Tuesday, I have tickets at 7:30.
So now I think we'll move it up to 5:30 because both Nolani and you said 5:30 would work. Well, I think maybe now she's in the point.
So we don't even have to.
Yeah, because that's what I asked Kathy, and I haven't heard from Kinsella either.
We have executive session tonight, right?
Yeah.
About this.
About it, yeah. So I think, and the reason I maybe we had said June 21st, but because that's the last week, and I don't know.
No, I just I
Scary.
can't stand around on that. And I think because when we went down there, it was, I still
So what'd you think of the cupcake cake? Yeah. Well, when it was intact, it did say congratulations on the top. But instead of needing to have someone slice it up, they said, well, why don't we do cupcakes? Although, no, it was the food service people. I just told them what I wanted. And now I hope there's enough out there because, I never know how to gauge. Yeah. No, Dougie Fresh. That's how he comes up when he calls. That's his ID from his personal phone, Dougie Fresh. Oh,
I was so afraid I was gonna spill my coffee on everyone. Oh my gosh. I have to have it. I smelled it. I was like, yes. It's insane. My daughter and I go to the library to get the free pass to go check it out. So we don't go as often, but it's fun to do. I'm like, I gotta find out. I can't find it on here. I can't find it.
Do you know what time Douglas is coming? 9?
8:30.
When did we take our 15-minute break? I don't want to go now.
I know.
Miss Ann, when did we take our 15-minute break? When did it start?
I think it's over. Is our 15 minutes over?
Just, no. About another 4 minutes.
4 minutes. Okay, I'll go to the bathroom in 2 minutes. In 2 more minutes.
And then you can just yell at everybody to go home or to come back.
Use your school voice, you know, your teacher voice.
I don't want to scare them.
Oh my goodness. Anne, you said that. Sorry. I'm like looking for it. I was like, that would be great.
You can have this. I copied it from the newspaper. I don't think I need it.
Oh my god, that's fantastic.
So they started as a group thing. So I'm not sure how they're going to get the rest out. But you can copy that.
Okay.
But you get to keep that.
Oh my gosh, thank you. Because I was like,
Isn't that great?
yeah, we usually go to the library and get the free pass or whatever because she's like, let's go check out the museum. But I was like, that would be fantastic.
Especially with the summer coming up.
Yeah, I was like, we'll go. Oh my goodness, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
I'm so excited now. It's like, oh no, that's for nice to see. Okay.
I just read it in the paper. That's how I read it last week.
Okay. It was in the
Gazette.
The Gazette. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. This is awesome.
No, I don't have the ability to do that.
I think Erica has to go do it.
Erica.
Go get him, Erica.
said no, I can't.
Inserting.
Yeah, I know. That's what I said. I think Kathy's on her second cupcake. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, we're waiting for Kathy. We better.
She was eating the cupcake. I was too afraid to eat one, get dirty, or.
Douglas is coming at 8:30.
Yeah. Hey, Tyrone, do me a favor. Can you go out there and tell Kathy and we're ready to get going. Tell her I'm asking for her. And I think Jamaica's still out there too, Tyrone.
That's what I was like, I'm just like, I'm just
Okay, I thought I
Oh, no,
too
it's
hot
warm,
in
it's
here.
warm. I don't know why the AC's not working. It was usually cold in here.
No, it usually is cold. That's why I left.
I think they turned it off because of the, exactly.
I used to get dressed up for board meetings.
You're a veteran. Your kids still home? They're still in town?
Yeah.
And they left to take off already?
Yeah, everybody's, I mean, my daughter's out traveling out west. She's the one who graduated.
Right.
Yeah.
But no one stayed home because they were both here for a little while.
Yeah, everybody's back where they go on. They're gonna go camping with us at the end of the
Nice.
So, but I'm missing this graduation because of it.
Where are you going?
We camp in Cook Bay, Maine, which is
I'm sure I'm going to see some great photos on Twitter. You love doing your mountain view.
She's the baby.
It's in Maine?
it's in Maine, so it's a 12-hour drive.
12 hours, huh?
Yeah, I'm trying to find it.
that, north or east?
So yeah, I'm trying to get the state of Maine.
She's all excited.
Maine.
She's going to, where's that, the camp.
It doesn't like.
Principal Green. Principal Green, can you just make an announcement out there? We're going to get started again? Thanks.
She got excited because I can't remember which teacher she said it was, but she was, they're having an assembly with the students who made honor roll. I guess she's going to the
So if you go up the Maine coast, right, up here,
So we're excited.
all the way up to
This
the
is
end.
fun stuff. That's the years.
Right, it's actually, yeah,
I can't wait. I can't wait.
Camp Bella is there, which is a Roosevelt had a whole
Yeah.
You're supposed to eat in here.
I thought about that.
Like a
I thought about it.
Yeah, set up in here.
but it's, yeah,
I'm just gonna, I'm just gonna be a rebel and have my cupcake. I won't eat it right now.
You're gonna be a rebel.
I know, it's shocking. We have water in here all the time. I will not eat the cupcake until later when I need it.
Okay.
But I am going to drink my coffee.
Out there?
I didn't know that.
Like, I might be able to get a second.
She's counting that, she's counting the time. Welcome back, everyone.
Oh, good. The new teacher orientation?
Hopefully they come back.
Did we do these then? 4B1 to 4C5?
Yeah, those are the ones for the appointments.
we still have to do civil service. We didn't do that, did we?
Those are next, 4B1.
We still have to do civil service.
Yep, that's in
Okay.
4B1 through 4C5.
I gotta get back to the, welcome back. We would like to
Cupcakes?
have an acknowledgement of,
Tenure?
Bernice will speak to the recognition of the teachers here.
Yeah, I did want to mention that Schenectady Labor Management have been working on a grant for 4 years called Empowering Early Career Educators for Racial Justice. We call it E3RJ. And the teachers that were here, the majority, have taken part in that grant for the last 4 years. The grant was sponsored by NEA, and it was NYSET and UAlbany that collaborated together to provide the training. There were 3 school districts that were part of the initiative: Schenectady, Kingston, and Amsterdam City Schools. And what was really powerful about the grant is that it was truly labor management, where the unions and central administration joined together to really tackle issues around equity, specifically racial equity, and look at the mentoring program and to develop tools so that new teachers and mentors can engage in really strong, courageous, deep conversations around race. The majority of the teachers that were here engaged in that, and they actually reminded me when they were out there, like, Bernice, we did this. We were very proud of this. So I do want to acknowledge the teachers that took part of it and were very vested in this work. I mean, we had many meetings. The person who led most of the trainings was Dr. Peter C., and he's from SUNY Albany. And there were also other presenters that did a lot of the work. But again, I want to thank all the teachers that were willing to engage in this conversation. Quite often, it was very personal. It was very intimate, and it was very hard. They explored history of race, racism, and then also engage in courageous conversations around that. So again, I do want to thank Schenectady, Central Administration, and many of the Central Administration people that were involved are here. And I do want to call some of them out. And if I miss someone, I apologize, but it was Carmela Perante, Juliet Benaquisto, Mike Silvestri, and newly engaged in this work is Carlos Cotto. And thank you to Superintendent Soler for allowing us to continue to engage in this grant. And again, I apologize if I'm missing anyone. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for all your work throughout the 4 years.
Thank you, Bernice. Okay, at this point, we have a resolution approving consent items 4B1 to 4C5 concerning certain personnel actions. I'll accept a motion to approve these items.
So moved, Erica.
Erica, second.
Second?
Noelani? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that motion carries. And at this moment, we will now have the presentation on the new website.
Yep, so we're going to ask Karen Corona to come up to the front. Just want to preface this as this is one of the things that when I got here in July that people gave me immediate feedback on. They said, you need to do something about our website, mister. And it's not friendly, there's hard to find information. And so, you know, we have a really talented executive team, and Karen was here before my arrival, and she's been an amazing resource for me. And so I charged her with the task. I gave her some suggestions, and she took off and run with it. And I do want to acknowledge her tremendous amount of work. She's really a division of one. Sometimes now it's two. We added Justin to her team, but she really was a division of one, doing public information and managing the district website. And so we'll hand it over to Karen to take us through the new website that will go live next week on the 8th. But you will be able to do some things now once Karen shares with you. So here we go, Karen.
Good evening. I'm excited to be here tonight. With me is Justin, my colleague in the communications office, and we're excited to be here to give you a look at our new website and our new mobile app, which will soon be everything Schenectady Schools in your pocket. Justin and I have been trained, and we've been working on the site for the last several months. The platform we're using is called ThrillShare, and it's with a company called Aptogee. They've been terrific, and I'm looking forward to working with them going forward. We're in the home stretch of development, and we're targeting next week, June 8th, for our official launch. And here's the big news. Our web address will be schenectadyschools.org. If that doesn't excite you, I don't know what will.
I have to learn something else here.
So tonight,
No more .K12, .New York, .US.
I probably won't be able to operate.
I don't know about you, but I'm over the moon excited about that. So tonight we're going to give you a brief demonstration of the website so you can see the design, how it flows, how information is easy to find, and then we're going to show you a short overview video on our new app, and Justin's going to briefly show you some additional features of that. So the website is up on the screen here. This is the main look. This is the face. All of our schools have a similar look, and we'll show you one or two of those in a minute. The website, I want to point out, it's easily translatable. The site is ADA compliant, and Let's Talk continues to be a communication tool and is visible on the homepage and all of the school pages.
Yeah, and it's simply just choosing the language, and you choose the language.
So
Can
up
you
at
do
the
that,
top right-hand corner, you select the language, and it will stay on that language unless you change it back or pick another language.
Gotta give a second.
The second button is the select the school. Justin, can you? Yeah. Yep, the school button, yep, right there. And then the menu button is basically the organization of the site and how you find information. Here's where everything is bucketed. And when you click on one of the buckets, if you click on the little arrows, they got little drop downs of information. So it's all organized in these buckets, and it's like this throughout the site. When you get to the school pages, it's pertinent to the schools. So,
Karen, can you just go back to the homepage?
yep. X.
Yes, that. Just scroll down. There's some like email login is a big one.
Yeah, it
People
was-
go to our
Yep, I was gonna-
website. Yeah.
So if you click on superintendent's brief, there's the list of every superintendent's brief that was published. If you go back to click on alumni profiles, there's all of our alumni profiles that were featured in the during this school year. And then events, our event calendar, news, and this is the exciting piece, is the live feed. It goes to here and it goes to the app when you feed it. But what's beautiful, what we love, is there's one page as a user where you go and you click on live feed, post, news, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, email, text message, all in one shot. So this will, in essence, replace our current call communication system. So that's what the face of it looks like. It's nice and clean, and we're super excited. Yep, there's the live feed page. Can you show one of the schools? Can you?
The goal here was to simplify things, but also make them consistent. So you're going to notice the schools have the similar design as the main district website. And the goal here eventually is that the schools will control the content on their pages, so that way, if parents, are looking for information specific to their school, the principal and their team, I think we're working with Kane as our first school. They're going to be getting trained first to kind of be our spokespeople, our brand ambassadors out there, and they'll be the first ones to kind of gear this. The power in this tool will be, and you'll hear more in a minute from Karen, is that it allows a principal from their mobile device or even from the website, but they'll be able to send an automated call, a push notification, because we know some people don't like those robocalls anymore, right? But they'll accept text messages and push notifications. So this will now give us the ability to communicate with our parents with an alert that says, hey, check your email, this is an important thing, or don't forget to submit a field trip form. And teachers will also be able to download and set up notifications, but the principals and the district will be able to have notifications go to specific school buildings. The principals can control that, but also the district. So sometimes we don't need everything to go to everybody. So,
And
go
you
ahead,
can tell, we've been posting to 2 websites, so I can't wait for this to go live because we wanted to have content on here when it goes live. So Justin and I are like, you got this one, I got that one. So now what we want to do is show you a brief video about the app. The app will be available for download from the Apple Store, wherever you download your apps, under Schenectady Schools, but it'll be available the same day that the site launches on June 8th.
Introducing the brand new app for Schenectady City School District. It's everything Schenectady Schools in your pocket. This is the home screen. Tap the schools icon in the bottom right to select a specific school. Tap the 3 horizontal lines in the bottom left to see all the menu items. To turn on push notifications, tap Settings and select Push Notifications. The Events section shows a list of events throughout the school. You can use this button to add an event to your calendar, or tap here to share the event with friends and family. The feed is where you'll find updates from administration about what's going on throughout the school, whether that's celebrating a student's success or reminding you about an upcoming deadline. Search Schenectady City Schools in the App Store or Play Store to explore the app for yourself. It's everything Schenectady Schools in your pocket.
I've never wanted a new app so badly.
We are very excited about the app. Thank you for having me, board members, superintendent. I made another brief app demonstration that didn't show one of the very important features that we're super excited about, and I know everybody else is going to be excited about. And it's that when you sign up for the app, you set your language preference right away, and the app auto translates, and you will see the live feed and all of those news in your preferred language. So why don't we go ahead and hit play, and you'll see me move fast. This is my phone this afternoon running the app. So there you go, splash page, and you'll see the OSAR event. So this is current as of today. And in the menu button, lower left corner, I'm going to go menu, then settings, and you see language preference is the first option at the top. I'm going to choose Spanish here, and I'll click done right after, and you'll see me go back out to the home page, and there is that OSAR post from this morning automatically translated. Here I am expanding it to show you the additional photos, and I'll scroll through a few, and I'll probably show you yep, this is also from this morning. That's the basketball clinic. And then I'll show you this last story here, and then I'm going to go in, change it to a different language by going to settings, language preferences at the top. We are adding additional languages there, but there's approximately 15 to 20 right now. So there you go. There's another translated. So it's the exact same post. So that's one of the super exciting things.
Yeah, and I think for the other thing that we did not display, but just so you know, it is ADA compliant. So if somebody's visually impaired and they click on an image, it'll describe the image to them. It'll say, person holding the ball. And so that is, it's required. Like, we are not allowed to post a picture without what's called alt text, where we have to say what it is a description of. So again, we really took the feedback, not only from our DEI policy about being inclusive, but also feedback from community, feedback from parents. And we know translation is really big for a lot of our families. And so now this will hopefully eliminate that. And the biggest thing for me is that it's in their mobile device. And we know most of our families are engaged with the internet through their mobile device. And so everything will come hopefully accessible for them. The links, they can register, they can get push notifications. And so more to come on the product. There are some other things that we think we'll be able to do with it when it comes to teaching and learning, but that's kind of down the road.
How does the translation, how quickly is the translation there for the things you're posting today?
Oh, it's instantaneous.
Is it instantaneous?
Yes. What I was about to say about the alt text and also that particular OSAR post, Kathy, I saw you there this morning.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited because that was my first post ever where we posted to the app, the website, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all with one button. So that was our first ever what's called synced global posts. So yesterday I was posting on 5 different things with 5 different passwords. As of today, we started posting with one password, all platforms. The message shows up exactly the same. And like the superintendent was saying about alt text, that's very important. People who are visually impaired, hearing impaired may use a screen reader. So what this product does is it forces you to put the alt text on every photo. There is no way to not do it. And that means that somebody who is visually or hearing impaired that's using a screen reader will have the description of the photo read to them in their chosen language automatically just by downloading the app and going through that original effort of setting their preferred language, which, as you saw, lower left-hand corner, then choose settings, language preference, very top one. So we're very excited about this.
And if you're a parent that has children in multiple schools, you can set notifications just for the specific schools that your children are at, so you don't get all the stuff, you can get it. So there is some, yep.
And we have a whole marketing plan ready to go that includes large posters with a QR code that downloads it automatically to your phone. We're going to be rolling those out next Wednesday. We're going to start with our social media tomorrow morning. When you wake up, if you check social media, you're going to see a countdown that says next week, new app and website, next Wednesday. And Wednesday it'll go live, schenectadyschools.org, with the app in the App Store. And we're going to be communicating.
In the training, while we're doing that, we're simultaneously setting up, working with the schools to try to set up training so that we have teams in every department in every school so that they'll be able, because this is going to be the communication tool.
Yeah, and I think the one other thing, again, we're not there yet, but one of the power here is that, I'm going to pick on her because she's in the audience, Principal Messler will be able to say to her staff, if you want to share exciting things going on in your classroom, right now a lot of our teachers have their own kind of Twitter, they'll be able to contribute right to the school's page, but she'll be able to approve it. So she'll get a cue that says, hey, so-and-so would like to share this. She'll be able to have an approval process, or her assistant principal, someone will be in that workflow, not just her. But the goal is it also allows our teachers to share the excitement and sometimes in their classrooms, tell their stories, publish articles about things that they're doing. And so really it brings the communication down to the building level while also making sure it mirrors the district. So it looks the same, it has the same kind of feel, because no one knows how to necessarily do coding, but everyone knows how to post a picture and type some characters. So stay tuned, more to come. Next week, download the app, Wednesday, the 8th.
I know you said there's a whole marketing plan, and any extra flyers that you have, there are plenty of community organizations that then have direct contact with our families.
Okay.
I personally will deliver them for you. Like, all you have to do is give me the flyers, and I will deliver them. But
you.
I'm super excited. Can you tell how excited I am? Like, just give me
I'm
some
glad you're
flyers.
excited.
I'm ready. I'm excited.
Thank
Yay.
you, Karen. Great job, Justin and Karen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. I don't think I'm in the right place. Oh, yes, I am.
Yeah, you are.
All right. We will now have Lynn Rutnick present the secondary redesign. And team, I should say. Lynn and team.
And I will, before Lynn gets started, I just want to preface the board. I know there had initially been a lot of excitement around this topic and folks coming to the board to speak on it, which, because again, obviously it's personal for many of our kids and families, but I want you to know that we were very intentional on what you're going to see, very calculated, and I'm excited. I want to congratulate and compliment Deputy Superintendent Lynn Rudnick, Tyrone O'Mealy, and the rest of the team, Kurt, Principal Green, Principal Chank, and also the redesign committee. A lot of teachers came in on their own time to be a part of this, and so I want to recognize that as well. I think Mike Silvestri was part of the crew. I'm not sure sometimes, but the whole point of what is it had voice, and then it had student voice as well, and I know Lynn will get into that, but I just want to let the board know that we're real intentional with what you're going to see. We think it's the right way to move forward, and we're excited. Lynn?
Thank you.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. You just made some introductions, but again, I'm here with my team. Mr. O'Mealy, the Executive Director for Secondary Schools, the Executive Principal for Schenectady High School, the Principal of Schenectady High School, Dennis Green, and the Assistant Director for Secondary Programs and CTE, Mr. Kurt Redmond. So they've come along, and I appreciate that. They've been kind of like my thought chamber as we go through some of these items. So I'll start off with a quote. Change will not come if we wait for some other time. We are the ones we've been waiting for, and we are the change that we seek. These are some students on the right. You will hear a little bit about them. From them, we did some tours to the middle schools, and you're going to hear they are why. This clicker might not be working, so you're going to have to click for me. Okay, I'll wink.
Is it on? Do you have it on inside? Okay.
What'd you say?
There's a button on the side, usually you turn it on.
Maybe I'll try it. Hang on. Nope.
Probably a little
Try
better.
one more time. Okay. So first, I'll go through the agenda. We're going to go through the timeline, which you have seen before. We're going to talk about our why and what guides our work. We're going to define the problem and why we started this process, and talk a little bit about the themes that we see and have seen from our discussions and our survey results. We're talking about our considerations and connecting the dots. As you know, before I got here and before much of the new ELT team came, you spent a lot of time investing in a BOCES review, and the people from this organization that invested and told us what really needed to change and some of the themes that came out, we really took that into consideration. We're going to talk about so what, now what? what do we do with all this information and where do we go? And we will break that down by middle school and Schenectady High School. We'll talk about next steps, and we will say, again, we have a debt of gratitude for the folks who came out and worked with us, a team of over 50 people on the steering committee, as well as the parents, the community members, and our students who were very willing to tell us the great things happening here and the opportunities for change. And then we'll allow for some questions. Okay. This should not be a slide that you haven't seen before. You should be familiar with it. We started back in January, kicked off the redesign. We started with a listening and learning phase, got feedback, talked about with all the stakeholders. We invited everyone to come to the table. We continued that, looked at a survey to send out to our parents, to our students, to our community, and then we went through a brainstorming phase with our steering committee. We formed the group. We had a kind of a revolving door of people who could come, people who wanted to stay, people who wanted to pass the baton so as many voices could come to the table as possible. We shared out, and then we shared out again, and then we got back in the room and rumbled some more so that we could come back here. We were thinking actually in April or May, but what we realized between that time was we really needed to get together and dig deep into more of the details to answer the questions that were coming our way. To be able to come here to you now and talk about really our update and recommendations moving forward. So we heard a lot from the students that are in high school now. We heard so much, but what we wanted to really bring this back to of what guides our work, which is our students. And so we're going to show a little bit of a video where we did a traveling tour with my team here, and we asked the students to talk to us about, what would it mean to have a freshman academy? What would it mean to have pathways? What does that mean to you? What things are you worried about? What things are you most excited about? And so the class of 2026 had some things to say to us, and we're gonna show that to you now before I kick it off and give Tyrone the mic to talk about what guides our work.
The Regents.
Not being able to succeed. Meeting new teachers, regents, not being able to succeed. Behavior. Being late to classes. Being late to classes. Family. What should your high school experience include? Talk, have fun, and get education. I love it. More hands-on experience in science. freshman academy or a freshman learning community. And what that is an opportunity for freshmen from this building, from the other two middle schools, to get a shared identity, to meet people with common interests, to meet people with common experiences, to make new friends, and to form a true freshman class that you'll move on through high school with, to be one Schenectady class together. Along with that, there's going to be opportunities to explore. So explore pathways. And pathways could mean, hey, maybe it's the military at the end of school. Maybe you're going to go right into a job as a mechanic or as a tattoo artist, things like that, right after high school. We're going to give you those opportunities to learn about it. Or maybe it's going on to college, maybe a trade school, maybe learning how to be a carpenter, maybe learning how to be a plumber. We're going to get you ready for those opportunities. Or to go to college. Do that science work. Become the forensic scientist. Become the engineer.
All right. So the video just articulates our why.
You gotta close the YouTube link here. They still had something to say.
I know. Just, I was a little nervous, so that kind of was the icebreaker. So what guides our work? And I think the video depicts at best the students. This is what we're all here for. This board meeting, our work as a team. What's the best opportunities we could provide for our students? But based on the pillars when I first started in this district, for the secondary experience, graduation, 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 college and career ready, that's what we speak of, right? How many students can we get past that threshold? Then passionate people. You cannot do it without the individuals that serve our students, from the teachers to the secretaries to the monitors, the cafeteria workers. We need people who love our students, who love this district. Partnerships, I can't say it best. I came from a CBO, and there's a lot of services that districts cannot provide our students. They can't. And I think sometimes when we partner with community organizations, they give that missing piece. And finally, systems. You could have the most passionate people, you could have a goal of graduation, but if you do not have systems to drive these initiatives, and thank you, board, for the resources, can't do it without you guys, right? These things do not happen. And essentially, when I take a look at our purpose and our promise, it is our promise to our families and our students is we're going to be the stewards of equity, engagement, and innovation. That's our promise. That's the least that we could give them, right? So the redesign effort, when we took a look at it, defining the problem, it is you can't define the problem without speaking to the people or speaking to the stakeholders themselves. So overall, if I do remember, I believe we had over 1,700 respondents to surveys. And it was students, parents, faculty, staff, ELT leadership, and we're talking students. The video you saw was all 8th graders, so grades 8 through 12. So it's their voice who kind of drove what we're doing. That's what we're here for. So, and if you take a look at this presentation, they all said pretty much the same thing. Safety, lack of student engagement, and career pathways. So I look at it as a choice, and I want a safe place to learn. And that was our driving force behind this initiative. Choice, choice, choice. When we say student pathways, learning academies, that's all based on students' choice. So as we met as a committee, what's the driving force behind our decisions? We got to think about safety, but now how do we create those pathways? How do we create opportunities for our students?
So as I mentioned, the BOCES review also was front and center of why we were starting to talk about a secondary redesign. I want to remind folks, some themes came out of that review around passionate people. We know we have the most incredibly talented staff who care deeply about our students. That is a celebration, that is a success, that is something that we care about. We need to listen to them. That is absolutely, those passionate people are the strength. However, the perceptions about our school district culture, when this was done, they came out as poor, and that many of the employees in the district enjoy the people in their immediate offices, but they weren't feeling a connection to the district. That there was, I'm going to talk about the past because we've been trying to address this, there's a deep culture of mistrust and fear in the district that was impeding decision-making and the effectiveness in the district. and that employees were perceiving that they were being left out of decisions that impacted them as the key stakeholders or subject matter experts. When you're connecting the dots again, what came out around teaching learning, the big theme was the lack and priority of curriculum. That was a concern across the district. Systems and resources, too many priorities, that we had a track record here at Schenectady of always moving to the next best thing, the shiny pebble. We appeared to be working in silos and operating independently, and we needed to really focus on consistent district-wide processes and procedures. And again, safety came up as concerns around safety, and that our stakeholders, and especially the folks in our school district, were not really feeling supported in that area. So the BOCES gave us some recommendations, and I didn't put them all down, but I tried to really, talk about the themes that came forth around trust and fear, that the district and the board helped the staff connect the dots between the feedback that they were giving and the processes and the actions being taken by the board. Now, no matter how big or small. So this is big. So we made sure to get people to the table. We made sure to have an open door policy. If you wanted to join, even if you were late, if you wanted the survey, we sent it out again and again, trying to get people. We brought in our parent liaisons so they could spread the word. So I think with this initiative, I can really say I'm proud of the efforts of the outreach and to listen. And we're also then connecting the dots about the decisions being made. Decision-making recommendations is to involve the stakeholders and employees. Again, we did that. Sharing our why was constant throughout this process. We made sure to get to faculty meetings, to Scala also as well as part of the high school, and continued to come back and say, here's where we are. We don't have an answer yet, but we were keeping you in the communication loop. The too many priorities recommendation was something that when we really came down to making decisions, that was a big piece of this, that we knew there's a sense of urgency that we needed to make some changes when you look at the data, which we're going to talk about. But if you move too fast, you're going to lose people. We're going to be standing out leading and look to the left and the right, and we're not going to have anybody with us. And that, that's basically initiative, they call it fatigue. So this is what we did with this. This is what we've been working on as executive leadership and with our district leaders and our principals. That was front and center. These are all the things we've been doing when we heard about that BOCES review. So around graduation rates, we're looking at pathways, project-based learning, reimaging our leadership structure, our faculty structure, our business partners, scheduling, community partners. Around passionate people, we're looking at grading. We're having, a grading committee, the district org map change, the safety structure change, HR and finance. We had new staffing process system, new budget system, ordering system, grading system, Schoolzilla. Those things alone are they move the needle a little bit, but when you're looking at this as a system, then we add on what we're asking our teachers and our teaching and learning leaders to do around the equity audit and the K-5 literacy program and the core curriculum and the MTSS and the scheduling and all of these great things. And then we add in all the great work that Dr. Cotto and his team are doing around innovation with MBK and My Sister's Keeper and the parent liaisons. I mean, it's wonderful. It's exciting. It's great work, and it is moving our district in great places. But we knew if we put the secondary redesign on top of that and moved too quickly, it really would not be doing what the BOCES recommended and what our people said. Just be careful and be intentional. And so we decided and concluded that we needed to do the redesign in a phase-in approach. And so now we're going to talk a little bit about those decisions.
Thank you. So one of the things that came out of our data review and our work specifically with our committees and listening to students, you saw some of our road shows and talking with parents, is around the urgency. But it also brought up several levels of wonder. And so we looked at a lot of data. This is definitely going to be some data that the board would be familiar with. This is where it all ends, is around graduation rate. So what you see is our graduation rate kind of district-wide, SCLA, the high school. And our wonder came out of around how do we create systems and structures to increase the opportunities, the equitable opportunities for all of our students. That becomes a very, very important piece because we see these lines are not all at 100%. As we look by subgroups, so when we actually break this down into the different subgroups that we have, just a few of them represented here, how do we address the opportunity gap so that all students, like we said in the first wonder, that all students have that opportunity? Around our general education students, how can we increase engagement and that sense of belonging to a community so that each student has that same feeling so that we can continue the positive trend? You see a positive trend around our graduation rates. It's a slow trend, but it definitely is in the right way. How do we keep that momentum going? And then our final wonder, in particular around our students with disabilities, how do we ensure that our systems and processes communicate clear criteria on how students enter, exit, and then eliminate the tracking of students with disabilities throughout our secondary schools? I'll pass it to Mr. Redmond.
What we previously spoke to you about, and a lot of what you're going to hear about tonight, involves Schenectady High School. But you've probably noticed this is a secondary redesign, so we're also taking the time to look at what's going on in the middle schools and to use the same phased approach to make some changes at the middle school level. Really our goal is to create equitable academic and social experiences for all of our middle school students, and then to prepare them for these great opportunities that they're going to have at the high school level. So some changes that are coming in phase 1 at the middle school is around the bell schedule. So 6th grade is going to the same bell schedule as 7th and 8th grade. So in the past, they haven't been on the same schedule, but all the middle schools will have that same bell schedule. All the students in the middle schools will be on that schedule. Similarly, we're going to standardize what is available to 6th grade students along with 7th and 8th grade students at all 3 buildings, so that there won't be classes that are offered at one middle school that aren't offered at another, creating that equity across the middle schools. All of our middle schools are going to have access to high-quality social and academic support systems. So our middle schools will be rolling out a new PBIS initiative, positive behavior interventions and supports, across the 3 middle schools. For academic interventions, there's going to be increased staffing and opportunities in reading, ELA, and math that will be based on data for students to receive those interventions. AVID, that you may know from the high school, which has been a very successful program, is going to be moving to the middle school as well. And there'll be a whole building approach where buildings are focusing on the strategies and skills of AVID, but will also be an opportunity for students to be a part of an AVID course as well throughout their middle school experience. And for social emotional learning, there's a new social emotional curriculum and lessons that will be for all middle school students. Again, that schedule, just quickly, is going to be an 8 instructional period day plus a lunch. All of our 6th grade students are going to have an opportunity to take the AVID course next year. And, we'll have a homeroom built in and the typical 45-ish minute periods for the instructional day. As far as what the courses look like, even though they are moving to the bell schedule, a 6th grade student will still receive their reading instruction and then instruction in the other core areas, English, social studies, math, and science. The real change in 6th grade is that AVID course that every 6th grader will be able to take. In 7th and 8th grade, the same courses that we're used to. Some changes there are AVID electives being available for 7th and 8th grade students, and also with our career and technical education courses that were traditionally technology and family consumer science. Those are going to be switching to some half-year opportunities for students to get experience with things that are targeted to what we offer at the high school, so that they can start to get that interest, start to explore careers a little bit more in depth.
Did you put the thing down that low, Kurt? No. Try to say something funny when I'm nervous. No, I'm good. I only have one slide. They gave me one. It was too much. So I want to, excuse me. I just want to talk about and share some of the process that I've been extremely excited about and passionate about. It was almost like a mini master's course that I took through this process of learning. So when we looked at the main campus and our Schenectady High School leadership communities, the SLC, we really wanted to focus on, I visualized this as a part of students constantly asking, what is school really for? Right? Why am I in school? Why do I need to learn this and why do I need to learn that? And that's that age-old question that I remember asking myself. Why do I need math? Right? So when we began to think about these separate communities, it kind of started to have a focus on answering those questions, those pathways to jobs, right? Why is it that we need to learn sciences? Well, because in this STEM pathway, there are several careers that you can focus on. And even in a sports career, you know, we have media specialists, we have the medical field. So we really wanted to share this outlook as to where students are looking ahead to and where they're going in the future. So on our main campus, we look at our young leaders, right? Our job as a community and leadership communities, we want to build our young people up and help them grow into successful leaders. The way to do that is starting with our freshman academy, right? Research tells us that if we can get our freshmen 5 or more credits during their freshman year, research tells us that they're more likely to graduate. So really, that is our focus. Not to say that we're not focusing on 10th, 11th, and 12th, but we want to begin to build a family, a community with our 9th grade cohort. So while they will be on campus, we are looking to have them in an area so that we can not separate, but really build that family and focus on them throughout that year to develop these different pathways, to give them experiences through different courses to say, here are the pathways that you're going to see and the different communities that you're going to see throughout your high school career. So let's look at all of these and kind of decide where do you want to go your 10th grade year. So the Freshman Academy will focus on that, but it'll also help our young people with that transition from middle school to high school, right? One of the toughest transitions that we have other than elementary to middle is middle to high school. So we really want to focus on that social emotional learning piece and giving them the supports that they need and to develop the skills that they already have, but also to help them develop those lagging skills that they come with from middle school, so that we can get those 5+ credits and we can help them on that pathway to be successful. So again, we're looking at this as year one, but we're looking at a long, 3 to 5 year plan on developing all these different communities and looking at where we can really focus and do better at what we're doing this first year. So freshmen will not attend SCLA because we want to build that community. We want all freshmen in an area so that we can focus on them. And then we'll look at the different pathways moving forward. Again, that freshman goal, move ahead with 5+ credits. Research tells us that is what we want to hit to make them successful in our graduation. PD for freshman teachers is extremely important because through these pathways, we want to make sure that we are project-based learning. We are hands-on, that we are taking a different approach to classroom teaching. Very interesting thing is that students learn in various ways, and we know that. There's different learning levels, different ways to be taught, but we really need to focus more on project-based now because students now young people more than ever, learn quickly, and everything is at their hands. Whether it's TikTok, Facebook, Google, they can just about Google anything. So they really need to keep that focus. And the best way to do that is being engaging, being passionate through project-based learning. So as you can see, we have 6 learning communities here, right? We have the Freshman Academy, we have our Visual Performing Arts, our STEM community, our Business Marketing, Entrepreneur community, Humanities Communication and Advocacy community, and then we have our distance learning. So what we learned through the pandemic is that there are many students that were extremely successful through district learning or distant learning. Not all, again, we all have different learning styles, but we found that we wanted to make sure that we kept this in our plan so that we don't lose the students that were extremely successful in this model. So we will continue to look through this and make sure it is a part of our communities. It may start off small, and we may have to continue to look at this and expand, but we wanted to make sure that we did not leave that out and understand that students have been successful in this pathway as well. The yellow, yes. Building condition survey, and you put it bright yellow so I wouldn't forget. So through this process, we've also had, the district has hired SEI, thank you. I was going to say architects.
He's nervous.
Yes, to look at the structures of our building and what can we house and where can we have new young people in various buildings. So through that process, we're looking at various communities going into the 23rd and 24th year, 2023 and 2024. You got me. So we will continue to look at that condition survey and look at the results and to see what we need to improve on, what we need to add, what we need to fix so that we can build these communities throughout our city and maintain that city as our campus. And that's what Mr. Chank will continue to talk about, or Mr. O'Mealy. Thank you.
Teamwork. Can you flip to the one document, please? So for further questions, if you want more detailed explanation of what these communities will look like, this team right here, along with the directors, kind of mapped out what does this look like on paper? What are the courses? What are the goals? What's the plan behind each learning community? So scroll down. So this is what we've been doing: introduction, our why. Keep going, just scroll. And so this is a hyperlink within the presentation, program overview for each particular learning community. Could you go back to the presentation? All right, excellent. Thank you.
So that should have a hyperlink for you guys to look at. But basically, what we did was we tried to take courses that currently are offered in our course catalog, figure out what communities they would fall into, because these electives are really what drive kids to stay in school and stay engaged. And so these is a working draft, but just wanted to show you that the work has already started to be kind of mapped out, and this will be the work that continues with the teams moving into the fall, obviously with the freshmen being the first focus. Go ahead, Tara.
All right, thank you. So just to reiterate what Mr. Green said, we'll not accept, if this is a model of our satellite communities, specifically Washington, Irving, and Steinman's, right? Like Mr. Green said, we'll not accept new ninth graders at SCLA. We believe we could service them here in the high school. It's a new model. Let's give this building an opportunity to see what we could do. And it's very important that I go back to this particular slide, the building condition surveys. So working with SEI, we walked every single building. What's the capacity? What could we do in each of these buildings? Take a phased approach, take it slowly. So we're taking a look at the Steinman's, we're taking a look at the high school. How do we retrofit these to really fit this model right here? So also, when you take a look at SCLA, by not adding new ninth graders, we believe it gives us an opportunity to service our most struggling students who do not assimilate to SHS. All right, we have students who struggle, like any other building. So I think by reducing that ninth grade population, we could service those particular students. And when we examine Washington Irving, we'll continue programming as usual, and that's going to be a phased approach. And really the question is, what's the best location for our students at night school? To go back to one of my original slides, I discussed graduation rate, because that's how we are judged. And these, hopefully in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years, will improve that rate naturally, without the pandemic and without the waivers.
One thing to note in the off-site satellite campuses is that we need a true alternative setting, And so part of the team will be kind of engaging big picture learning, if you've ever heard of big picture learning. They run some alternative schools. One is called the Met in Providence. It's a fantastic school. It's student-driven. Students choose to go into an alternative setting, and they really work off of a career theme-based approach. So just a real quick example, I want to be a DJ. It's the job of the teachers to figure out how to teach English, social studies, math, science in the focus area of wanting to be a music producer or a DJ, but it's also embedded with internships. Kids start their freshman year with career exposure internships, so that way we know that's the hook a lot of times. And again, it's self-selected, but it's an alternative setting. So we'll have more of that to come versus, one of the wonders that we had is how did kids end up at SCLA? That was a wonder. We still sometimes don't always get the right answer. Sometimes they're just sent there, and we want to change that. It shouldn't be kids get sent. It should be a choice. Kids should choose it. Parents should choose it. And, some of the data that we saw there was some overrepresentation of certain groups on that campus, one being students with disabilities. And so we don't want a students with disabilities school. We want a school that is a true alternative center. So I don't want to lose sight of that there'll be more to come on that experience. And that's why we want no new ninth graders there as we look to phase this in. Sorry, go ahead, Trang.
So one of the other very exciting portions of this redesign came out pretty clearly as we started to explore around new partnerships. So one of the ideas that came out of it is the idea that the city is our campus, that we're no longer going to be just simply limited to the sites. And so as we explored some of these new partners and some of the relationships that we've built either over years or some relationships we've just built within the last year, we began exploring, well, what could we potentially do? And so that's part of the redesign is a new partnership with Proctor's. So meeting with Philip Morris and his team and their commitment to being part of our educational program led us to develop a performing arts leadership community actually at Proctor's that focuses on dance, theater, and vocals. And initially we're targeting 25, 10th, 11th, and 12th graders in that phase one. Additionally, we're expanding. It's a new partnership with SCCC and the Early College Smart Transfer Program to look at freshmen and sophomores. When students enter the Smart Transfer Program, they're identified actually in the end of their 8th grade year. So this would give us an opportunity to work directly with SCCC as a partner and actually have those students on a part of SCC's campus, which is downtown. The Center City site, which is across from Proctor's, above the YMCA and above Johnny's, is a beautiful facility that they use mostly at night for their college classes, and the opportunity is there to actually get our students very close and actually on their campus and accessible to their Smart Transfer program and the people that support it. But additionally, we want to continue our partnership with the Smart Transfer program we already have on the SCCC main campus and find ways of bringing our juniors and seniors who are currently on that campus as full-fledged college students, having them have the opportunity to come back and be mentors to our additional Smart Transfer program students in this new partnership that we're moving towards.
So the next two slides kind of represent support for our particular students. I'd like to give a special thank to the counseling department, see Chelsea back here, for their work to making this vision happen. It's one thing to have the idea, but you have to have the numbers behind the idea and the type of support you need behind the idea. So how we came up with these numbers went to Chelsea, said, hey, and her team, can you break down the students by their requests? What do they like and what are their interests? So that's how we came to the numbers. You notice the biggest group is the freshmen. That's including the students from SCLA back into that number. And administrative support is 3, counselor support is 2. We'd like to keep it within that ratio of, for every 250 students or less, we have a counselor and administrator. So that's what the numbers right here. If you're wondering what the asterisk is about, because if you look at the distance learning program, we said, hey, COVID showed us that some students were very successful with distance streaming from their teachers, right? And we want to continue that model. Maybe 2 sections, no more than 2, so we have so just in case we set a lot of criteria around it, just in case they get lost, how do you bring them back into the building? But you cannot justify 25 students for a counselor and administrator. So wherever you see an asterisk right there, that means it'd be shared administrative, right? So the final numbers haven't shaken out, but just give you an idea what the administrator support would look like and the counselor support. And really, we didn't, I believe last board meeting, we talked about the proud work they did around supporting our students and the low ratios. We want to make sure we kept that intact. And the next slide just illustrates the same as well. And one thing I'd really want you guys to take a look at is this particular slide where it says 25 sophomores, 64 freshmen, sophomores, 46. If you expand that over 4 years, right? So now we're looking at 100 sophomores and juniors. We're looking at 250 freshmen, et cetera, and that's the whole point. Start slow and start building capacity, start building these programs. And it's just take a phased approach, little by little, little by little. And now instead of having a building with 2,500 plus students, now we truly have the city as our campus and smaller sections within the building, right? And just improve our climate and culture overall for this facility.
What I'll say as Tyrone transition is we have many partners who have come to us to say, hey, we want to be a part of this city as our campus, and we've purposely said, let's slow down, let's get this right first, and then we'll come in. And some of those are like Clarkson, my side. They want to talk about how do we get STEAM, how do we get a STEAM program, kids there. And so the goal here for us, and the beautiful thing about Schenectady, we're not a huge city, so we can get kids to places pretty quickly. And so the goal is these early college high school kids, they don't really come to Schenectady High School unless they're playing a sport after school or participating in a club. They're going to be downtown at Center City, going to school as a high school student in a college campus. I mean, think about the change in narrative. You're going to be at Proctor's, a major theater location for some of those pathways. And what's cool is that our staff here kind of supported this, like, hey, you take these strands of the arts and we'll take these strands of the arts. And so we wanted to be real mindful of the history here with the John Sayles School of the Arts and not kind of compete with that, but how do we strengthen it? Because we know that the arts is really competitive in this community. But I just wanted you to know that we have told other people we're going to slowly engage you, but we have people who are excited about this concept of the city as our campus and having our kids engage that way. So, Lynn? Or Chris, I'm sorry.
So as you've heard, we're talking about a phased-in approach. So we know, based on the things that we did, the data does support a change, right? We heard a lot of data in previous presentations to you. We went through that data in our redesign committee meetings. It was very important for us to get stakeholder voice. We did presentations in here to the combined SCLA and Schenectady High School main campus staff. We had students, parent guardians, as well as community partners. We had a 50-member steering committee over time, which was inclusive of both students, faculty, as well as administrators and others. And we know around this increased community partnerships, we know where that value is going to be. We've read the research, we've seen the research, and we're planning on capitalizing on it. In addition, we know that this is a very large building. It has a lot of students, and some of the size of the building creates some safety challenges. We know that reducing the number of students on the campus will ultimately help. We also want to focus on the idea around restore, which you saw previously around the Washington Irving. The idea that being restorative can lead to success through teaching, opportunity, reimagining things, but also staying focused on equity. We know this whole thing will lead to better communication. The website is super exciting. But also around the idea of using these partnerships, using these opportunities to showcase the talents of our students and to show the different pathways that our students will travel on. When you think about that alumni page, and how this type of pathway system can just grow that page exponentially is very, very excited. A very important part of this, and this is something that I know a lot of the teachers who may be listening in right now are thinking about, is what is the professional development around this? We're doing something very, very big. How are we going to have the time to work with our partners? How are we going to collaborate with staff to set these up and then also to sustain them over time? What other types of professional development learning can we get into? And then also, hey, can we start visiting some of these places? If other people are already ahead of us in creating some of these schools, can we go and visit? Can we talk to the people there? Can we bring some of their ideas back? And then, of course, as Lynn earlier said, we need to be mindful of the BOCES recommendations that they did. And then, of course, we want to empower our students, increase the engagement, and then also focus on the other very, very, very important parts around bell schedules and transportations and food service and getting students back to make sure that they're participating in the Blue Roses Theater and in athletics and all of the other things that make high school really, really positive here.
So, what? Now what? Dr. Chisholm brought that up in one of her recent, over the curriculum equity audit, and that's really where we've been with this. So we have all this information, now what? We've given you the so what, now what, and now we have some next steps. We want to continue with the communication, announcement, celebration, continue with the engagement. We're going to have some town halls. We're going to ask our parent liaisons to come along on that journey with us to gain, get as many people as we can. They have the key to get the parents there. Have our principals help us lead this. We're also planning forward around that building condition survey. It's going to tell us a lot. It's going to tell us that maybe we can have the freshman academy here. Maybe we can have it someplace else. Maybe it makes more sense. So that building survey is going to be, the condition survey is going to be really, really important. We're going to celebrate, so Board of Education, save the date. June 15th, we're going to have a ribbon cutting ceremony downtown. It's either going to be in front of Proctor's, but if it's there, we're going to give you a tour of the downtown SUNY Schenectady campus because it's just truly amazing. We're going to have the children there, bus them down, and that's before our June 15th board meeting, so you'll be getting an invitation to that. And then scheduling, after this announcement and this big reveal, we're going to start telling students and talking to students about scheduling and freshmen, parents, incoming parents, making sure faculty have a choice if they want to go to the freshman academy. I know people have come forward because we do our annual where do you want to go and your preference for teacher and faculty, and a lot of them have come forward to raise their hand around some of the items that have come out around the secondary redesign. So we'll be assigning leadership and faculty. The superintendent and I are meeting with every secondary administrator to ask them, where do you see yourself, in the redesign? Where are your strength areas, and what do you want us to consider when we're looking at some shifts? Partnerships, we've got some people who've raised their hand too and come forward. Tech Valley, really, we've gone over there twice, and they would like to be a critical friend, just to come in as we're working with the freshmen and to say what we're doing well and what we can improve upon. Just to one point around project-based learning, if you really sit down and talk to any of our youth right now, 13 to 18, it's not as much about project-based learning, it's about problem-based learning. It's about advocacy, solving the problems of the world as they see it, and it's exciting to kids when they say, I see a problem, and how can we work together to help solve it? And that is really what project-based learning is about. So we have already enlisted the funds for our teaching and learning directors and instructional coaches to start really digging in deep to start turnkeying some project-based learning, especially for that freshman academy. And we're going to be really communicating with our community and our faculty, staff, and students about the redesign. So now I just want to thank you for your time and having us here and having us, I think this is the third or fourth time, but also really our steering committee, our leaders, and everybody who's joined us on this journey. It's been incredibly insightful, exciting, and when we reflect on the process, I think that the intentionality of what we've done, I think we're at a really good place. So I hope, in the words of Simon Sinek, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. We hope we've talked about our why enough. And what you do simply proves what you believe. So thank you so much, and we're here to take questions.
Okay. Questions? Who wants to begin?
I have one question. One, that was great. Thank you. Very informative. Lynn, I just have a question because you got so excited when you said this word, and I was like, I don't know what that is. What's Schoolzilla? Like she said it, she's like, in Schoolzilla, and it's great. And I was like, now I need to know.
Yes, Schoolzilla is going to be partnering with our information system, but it allows for, it's through BOCES, it's a contract through BOCES, and OPA is going to be leading some of the training along with teaching and learning in how to use this product to get data quicker, to look at trends, and it complements the already information system that we have, and we're really excited to have it on board.
Think of it as a dashboard on your car. You turn on your car. So the goal is, right now we ask principals and staff to use data, right? But it's sometimes cumbersome. It's multiple steps. So the goal is when they log into Schoolzilla, there'll be dashboards. Here's your attendance rate for the day. Here's your achievement for assessments. They don't have to like dig into multiple. So it's like a dashboard product that'll take our Infinite Campus, our iReady, and put it all into one place so we can find it.
That sounds awesome. Big data person. Love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were just
With
so
ease.
excited. I was like, I have to know.
That's why she was pumped.
I do.
Go ahead, Bernice.
I have a question with slide number 18, when you were talking about some of the programs at the middle school level. I was just wondering, because some of those programs were not at the middle school level that I'm aware of, like AVID, for example. So is there going to be professional development sometime before they start using these programs?
Yes, so we just took a team out to Rochester to visit an AVID middle school, and you know we knew we wanted to do it, but again we wanted to go out there and see what the model was and work with AVID, and we talked to some of the students, and I can tell you, you know, I didn't know enough about AVID until I got there and talked to those students, and I wish I had tape recorded them. I told AVID when we left, you need to get those students on tape because it's really about organization, closing the gap. Those students really said if it weren't for AVID, they wouldn't probably have their essays ready for college. They wouldn't be as organized. I mean, it was quite impressive. And I can say Kurt and Carmela and Dr. Chisholm are working on how to really move forward with AVID. So do you have anything else to say about the PD that will happen?
I would just add, we'll be working with the middle schools to identify folks, and there's a number of summer trainings that they'll be able to attend.
Did you visit a middle school or a high school?
Middle school.
It was a middle school, but it was nice because they actually brought some juniors and seniors to speak to us too about their experiences for the
when you
whole.
mentioned the essays ready
Yeah.
for college already, I thought 8th graders are applying to college, okay.
Well, I can tell you, these students, I would have thought that, some of the middle school. I mean, they really said, like, this saved my life. Like, I was failing everything. It got me organized. And I'm an athlete. It helped me balance. And it's just a great, I wish we could do it for every student. That's why we thought about for 6th grade, every student should have the opportunity to learn those skills, but then there will be a process to continue on to be an avid 7th grader and 8th grader. And I said, you know, is there a stigma to it? Because, you know, and they said, no, it's actually a real privilege, and it helps them in every aspect of their life.
We've had AVID here in the high school, have we not?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
that's what I thought.
And then they're also going to move it down to the elementary school, which I thought was telling. It's been very successful.
So, and I think you answered you kind of answered these questions, these two questions that I have. So the numbers so this is slide 24. You showed some numbers of students that you're going to be accepting. Those, I'm assuming, are the numbers that we are capping at for next year? I don't know if it's slide 24.
No, I've memorized this. I've done it in my sleep,
Oh,
actually.
okay.
So you're talking about the students that are going into the SUNY Schenectady.
Yes.
So there's a process
Okay.
that they've already started because of our partnership with SUNY Schenectady. So that goes through all the counselors, and then that's given to the students. They get to write essays. They get to do an application. They get support, and then we basically gave them the green light and said, take as many students as you think would be, you know, a good fit, and you know, we'll support them in any way possible.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing here is that they were asking for permission. I mean, they were really excited. We said we want an early college high school. We want our teachers to be over there teaching them, but to have this concept. So, you know, I want to be clear. Our staff will still be teaching them. It'll just be located in a downtown campus. And so, you know, the goal is that when I went to the graduation, I was like, why do we only have 22 kids? And they're like, we'll take more if you allow us. And I'm like, yeah, there are other kids who can thrive off this opportunity to either earn associates, you know, beyond this. And so the grant does allow us to take more, but also the fact if we put some of our staff there, we can have more kids there pursuing an associate's and really try to grow that. Ultimately, no bigger than 200 kids, but the goal was to try to phase it in. And they do have an approach. Counselors are already involved, but they always are capped. And so if we can grow that footprint to have, an English teacher, a social studies teacher, a science, and a math teacher down there from our staff to support the growth, would be helpful for them, and they would provide the location.
Okay, so I think you answered the second part. So the students would be off campus for the entire day?
Yeah.
The Proctor's Theater, we're starting with a half day, but the SUNY Schenectady 9th and 10th graders would be off campus all day.
Yeah. And the YMCA is located there, so we're exploring how that would be used for physical education right there, so that way there's not a need to transport them back for PE, and again, just really making sure we can try to make that their new home.
Okay, nice. And then a
Keep
question
going.
and then a comment. So this is just for clarification. So when you talked about the freshman academy and then the houses, well, not houses, that's what it used to be called years ago. SLC, right? The
Yeah.
SLCs.
A theme that came out of our redesign committee were what are the real items and the characteristics and the things that are shining for Schenectady, Schenectady Rising, and it's leadership. We want our children to be leaders. They don't have to be on the student council. They don't have to be in the Smart Scout. We want them to know and have and understand what leadership qualities mean and you lead from where you are. And the other is our great community. And so we really came up with that idea of every one of these it's a pathway, but it's going to be a leadership community.
Okay. So do the students select, once they're in 9th grade, can they eventually select, like, I want to be in this SLC, this one? Okay, so it's almost like, kind of, like the pre-IB type of thing? Kind of, okay. So in 9th grade, they're exposed to a variety of different options, and then they can choose towards the end of the year, I'm assuming, to go into one of the houses.
That's what we need to design.
Okay,
Yes,
okay.
and we also talked about having off ramps. So if you get on and you get through your 10th grade and you pick the STEAM Academy, but you've really decided, I love this, but I really want to be more in the arts. That there's an off ramp, and all of those communities will have the core academics, so that you won't be behind because you did one or the other.
And then I want to thank all of you for several things, but when you mentioned the BOCES review, because it's not a shelf plan, and I like that you connected it to the work that you're doing here, because we took time as a board to have that BOCES review, so I really, really appreciate that. And also I want to thank all of you, because you can tell that this was a lot of work.
Yeah.
And and I like the fact that, especially at the beginning, you gave us really a very in-depth foundation of where we're moving forward with this plan. But I'm sure in the future I'll have more questions. But thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sure we all will.
I have a follow-up to the AVID for clarity, because for 6th grade at the middle schools, I have a 6th grader going to middle school, you said that it would be available to all 6th graders. So I need clarity. Will it be mandatory for all 6th graders to take AVID, or is it's available if they want to?
No, because we want to become an AVID system at the middle
Okay.
level, it will be a mandated course that you will take.
Okay, so that was super helpful.
And just to clarify the course,
yes.
it is literally teaching kids how to organize, how to
yeah.
do Cornell notes, how to do these things. So like, there are basic, just good, success strategies you teach kids,
Yeah.
and then hopefully they translate. The one thing that I pushed the team on was we can't be like AVID light, right? We either gonna do AVID, let's do it. And then a whole school approach is really good, because they talk about higher order questioning. Again, you don't have to be in an AVID program, but the way you deliver instruction, the way you tell kids to organize their notes, the way you deliver an assessment. So those are the things that I think are important, but we thought it was important for every kid to start learning those. And the real AVID is really for middle of the road kids who aren't necessarily an IB student, who's not necessarily going that route, but maybe a kid who maybe a C average, looking for a community to be a part. And then the advisory is another component of AVID that I know has been talked about in Schenectady for a while, that we thought was really important, to have an adult own a smaller group of kids beyond just the school counselor, to say, I meet with my English teacher every day for advisory, and we talk about strategies, I get tutoring, those types of things.
Yeah, I was familiar with AVID here at the
Oh,
high
okay, at the high
school,
school?
because I hear it all the time.
Okay. That's right, you have a high school kid too.
I do have a high school kid. I've got 4 kids. So yes, thank you for that clarity. Love the whole 9th grade. They get that opportunity to see the different pieces. Yes, I'm having deja vu of what it looked like before, but it's like a 2.0 upgrade. Sounds really, really great. Question, what does, how, are there specific ways that we're looking to avoid tracking in the very bad way, right? Because I heard the mention of, making sure we don't do tracking with disability, but like that's not the only way it shows up. So, if we're starting earlier with students, and I heard there's an application process for getting into the other programs, so just one of those flags.
Great question. We sat down with a much larger group and talked with Pam McCall from SUNY Schenectady. Val Smith also has been very involved in that process. And that was something we really pushed around representation of class, of race, of making sure a disability was in there, and they said, they assured us. So that I said, if the population looks like this in Schenectady, that should be the population that the Smart Scholars, and by the way, I said, I wish we could maybe change Smart Scholars, because I just don't even like that name, but they said that was a state ed name, so we'd work on that. Schenectady Scholars, I just like that better. But as that is an application process, and I think they're also looking for ways to get to know the families better, but we have a checks and balance that goes through that, and that we took that very, very seriously.
And what I really like is the idea that it's all about leadership, right? That every student gets to be a leader. And I guess maybe this is just a brain blast for me is, is there or will there be some type of what makes a successful leader that is this template or, presentation or class? It'd be great if it was an entire class that talked about what makes a successful leader, because there is all types of information out there that shows us that the answers to that question. So is there a way that regardless of the campus or community that they choose, that leadership piece is very intentional for every single student?
And that is the glue that holds all of these communities together. So we're going to allow our faculty and staff, when we get together to start building those other communities, to start helping us with that. That's where that sense of, what I said at the last meeting, people don't tear down what they build up, and, be the glue for everything we do. So to be determined. I love that.
Any other questions?
Yes, I just needed some clarity, and I apologize here if I missed this. I think Mr. Chang talked about the middle school 8th grade students as far as being selected for the early college smart transfer program, excuse me. Kind of going back to, I think, what Bernice had talked about, the 9th graders aren't necessarily selecting one of the 6 just yet. They're just kind of exploring, right? So how does that 8th grade transition to the 9th grade if you're selecting students for this early college smart transfer program? Like, how does that work if they decide that that's not the direction?
So if you're an 8th grader and you choose, and you decide to apply and be a SUNY Schenectady 9th grader, that will be the 9th grade cohort that would not automatically go to our 9th grade academy. So if they get on board, I can tell you, when we sat in a meeting with them the other day, they have so many wraparound services, and the fact that we're going to have our teachers down there, we're going to have an administrator down there, a counselor down there, they're also going to bring their folks in. We're going to do everything we can. If we need to have a co-teacher down there, we'll have a co-teacher down there. But if in the middle of the year things are really not going okay, there can be an off-ramp. We want to do what's best for kids, because the reality is what we talked about was what's going to be different to say if I'm a 9th grade parent, or like, why am I going to send my child, away from their 9th grade experience, especially with this wonderful freshman academy, right? But the difference will be they will actually that first year be getting college courses. So they're going to, SUNY Schenectady is partnering with us that we're going to be doing a psychology, 101. And so that will be the difference, that they're going to start getting that college experience.
Yeah.
So
And
I think I
Nolani,
understand.
just to back historically, they've always done it the summer of their 8th grade year.
That's what I was
So
clarifying.
all
I
we're
thought it was
doing-
starting from the top of their 8th grade year that they were being selected. This is for the tail end.
For the
going
tail end,
into
correct,
the-
yeah, so
got it.
so
Okay.
we're just taking that effort and just really just looking to move them. So already, they were already identifying them as freshmen, and parents are already making that recommendation with the counselor. Counselors are already identifying those kids. So we really didn't change anything with that, because those kids already are doing that. They just won't be a part of the larger freshman group, but we basically said is once you get them as a freshman, you own them. You got to get them through. And so we're really pushing on how that works, which is why we would put a counselor and administrator as well to also provide that along with our teachers. But we really didn't change anything other than say we want a campus for our kids. We don't want them to be only over there when they're a junior and a senior, which is how they are now.
Right.
So we wanted them to be there when they were a freshman, because that's going to start telling that brand, like, oh man, I'm going to a college campus as a freshman. You start coming in, you come home, it's a different kind of story.
They're going to be wearing uniform, or like they're going to figure it
They're gonna have
out.
a
You know,
little
they're going to have a
branding,
brand. I mean,
yeah.
our kids will be walking around Schenectady. We're going to bring in all the businesses to introduce them to our children and say, you know, if you see one of our Schenectady students walking down the road, they belong here. This is where their school is now. And so, you know, that partnership will hopefully really grow as well.
Yeah, that was a really good flag, actually. Like, if our students are walking around downtown during the school day, truancy officers, I don't know if they still exist.
Yeah.
But that's
Yes, but they'd have, we're going to have them, you know, with a sweatshirt or a vest or something
And
that
they'll
they
have a
think is
school
cool.
ID and a label.
Yeah.
Two things I forgot real quick. I took a quick look at the redesign program draft, and just like a realization, and I remember it from the first iteration, that there's some overlap in the communities, right? Like our arts community and our communications community. Communications is a part of the arts program, and so I'm just looking forward to like how students will be able to choose something but still be exposed to what that looks like for them, right? Like right now when they do theater, they are learning communication. They're learning public speaking. And then the other piece was for the 9th grade transition, will we be able to, is it like going to be the classroom sizes and supports for students that have IEPs and 504s, right? Because I remember the Steinmetz families, right, their concern, like when we're making sure that our students with disabilities or IEPs or 504s are fully a part of our community, which I absolutely love, right? Because they are our community, and the idea of segregation bothers me. But then how do we make sure that while we're in this building, is it the classroom sizes and supports so that those families recognize that that's still there, right? The thing that they were excited about at Steinmetz, that they're feeling like we're still fully supported in this building, right?
Yeah,
Even
so,
though we're in this
so
building.
the individualized education plan is going to drive their supports. That's not going to change whether they're at Steinmetz or here for the freshmen. If they're in a 12-on-1, they're going to be in a 12-on-1. If they're in an integrated co-teach, it'll be here as well. So that'll be here. And in fact, because they're on the larger campus, they'll have, more counselors, more social workers. There'll be a little bit more of additional support as well. But we were real mindful that we don't want to necessarily limit that. But we want to also, again, if we need a true alternative, let's figure out what a true alternative looks versus just placing people there, because of either behavior or poor performance. And that's kind
And
of
we've paid special attention to the fact that that's a bigger group. So we will have more administrators, more counselors, more supports, and we're really trying to wrap our hands around the freshman class to say, you guys, this is your community. And, they can break out, but, really we're trying to get them to just shelter them a little bit, and the AVID piece will help, and the higher staff to student ratio should help with that as well.
And we talked about things like their own lunch. Like right now, freshmen don't have their own lunch. That would be a change for us at the high school. Again, something I was surprised at, but this will be part of the redesign where we say freshmen are scheduled together, they go to lunch together, they build community together. And so there's, some of the fear that kids say, I'm a little fearful of being in there with probably the older kids. Yeah. And so we're going to try to really do that. We're talking about what part of the building do we put a majority of their core classes so that they can travel and we can make sure the relationships are there and their teachers can talk better together, the administrators in the same hallways for the most part. When they step out of the community, that it's only them and then maybe a certain wing of the electives, and, you know, maybe they go to gym, maybe they have a freshman gym only versus a 9 through 12 physical education course.
And I'm cautiously optimistic that the new website and the app will help with the communication piece so that parents are feeling comfortable and secure. I am a parent that has a child with an IEP. And so, like, I want communication for all of my children. There is a difference when you have a child with that situation, and knowing that they have all of the supports they need. So really, this is great.
What training have we given to counselors at this point, or what is planned for them to be able to communicate all these SLCs and so on?
Well, today
to
was
students.
important, so let me just be clear. Today was the
The
reveal.
reveal.
And so please know that now the work is going to start and perpetuate. I will say, and I think Tyrone gave her a shout out, Chelsea has been really instrumental for the group. She's kind of like the scheduling counselor. But the real reality is we want this to be a little bit organic when we mention this. We're going to say now, okay, we've got a direction to move forward. Teachers are going to build their themes. They're going to build their courses. They're going to start talking about what they would like to see. So some of that's going to happen. We have obviously some federal money used that we're going to use for professional development, pay some of our teachers to come in over the summer, have some of these paid opportunities to do some of this.
And we have relied heavily on, I also want to acknowledge Dr. Chisholm, Carmela, and everyone in teaching and learning, because they've helped facilitate every single one with us. They've been right there with us, and they are already starting to plan for the problem-based learning, project-based learning, you know, so they're ready. They've been
So no
ready.
training has started yet,
Yeah.
Kathy, but the reality is we wanted to make sure today happened, so now we can move forward.
Lost my thought here. I lost it. It'll come back.
And I also want a shout out to Andrea, PPS, Dr. DeFries. They have been at every meeting asking, when those questions come up about IEPs and those questions come up about, but what about this type of child or what about this type of service? They've been like, let's talk about that. Well, you know, okay, let's unpack that a little bit. So they've been really instrumental too in getting us through. When we see those barriers, it's like, okay, well, how do we remove that barrier so that students with special needs or differently abled will be embraced and included?
The question came back, and that was regarding the courses that were part of each of these SLCs that you flashed briefly up here. Where is that embedded?
It's right here, and if you go to that slide and hit program chart, number 21.
Okay, it's in the
It's in the
21,
slide. Number
okay.
21, it's in
Okay.
there.
It opens up another.
Yep.
It opens up another one. All right, fine, thank you.
Lynn, real quick, so will the staff and families know, will the staff know before the end of the year whether, you know, if they're going to be in the freshman academy or where they're going to be placed, I'm
Yes.
assuming? And then will families know prior to August? Or is it anticipated that they will know before August where their children will also be?
So all the 8-9 kids will know
Yes.
because they'll be in the freshmen,
Yeah.
and that's our first phase because they're all going to be coming here.
Yeah.
All the
We're
Schenectady.
talking about who's going to be the administrator, the administrative team.
Okay.
Those are the pieces that we're going to start doing now. And now, again, our most important thing was we wanted the board informed to know the direction we were moving because, you know, there was a lot of anxiety. I think people were thinking we were going to close schools down. You know, we want to make sure we took an intentional approach. And I do also want to, if she's in the audience, Juliet was also really great, giving us some feedback around, you know, she's represents all the teachers. And so she's like, look, people love this, but let's make sure we're cautious and we're inclusive. And so I do want to uplift that as well. Juliet, thank you for that feedback. Because there are some historical things that are important for SCLA, you know, things that were designed, you know, the IB program. We're not looking to ruin anything. We're just looking to strengthen and grow. And so the work begins now with who is the leader. We posted the high school position to make sure. Obviously, Dennis has done a great job. Principal Chank's done a great job. But we also know that part of that's going to require a little bit of a shift. And so we want to make sure we can do this work. And so now the work is going to accelerate and begin. But we wanted the board to know and the community as a whole to know this is the plan, kind of moving forward. And we did talk about an 8-9 orientation, which would be really new for us here, to invite all the 8th graders over to the high school campus, meet with the team, get the expectations, probably do some team building, you know, potentially with some folks, and, you know, get a better vision of what we expect.
Given
You
that
mentioned
we're-
IB, which flagged a question. So then, how does IB work with the different committees, right? So if a student is IB, are they also in a committee? So they'll be, or
You mean a
class or
community,
community?
an SLC?
Thank you, that word. It's- They'd be IB, but in a specific community.
Can they, yes, I envision this again, you know, we don't have all the answers.
Right.
And we're trying to intentionally get the answers and move forward.
Yeah.
But there's gonna be some creativity, innovation, and probably a little failure, but a lot of success. You know, we wanna be innovative. I almost look at this as, you're gonna have a major and minor. You know, you're gonna major in the arts, but you also really love math and science. So we're gonna figure that out, and then our experts in the counseling department will make that happen. There will be, just like if you're an avid student, you don't always get to have every elective you want. You don't sometimes always have, you know, there are gonna be some gives and takes, but that's with everything. But we're hoping that kids come to school with a purpose and say, I'm in this community, I'm doing this, I'm gonna be going out to intern with this. I mean, what we're hearing when you get industries involved is that they obviously, we need workers, right? Everyone needs workers. And once they start to invest in our kids, that's when they really, the children start to see, that's where I want to be. I have a guaranteed job, or they're going to give me some help with college. You know, that's what the hope is here.
Yeah.
I also really want to make sure that you know that we have contract for excellence, and we'll be using a lot of that money to help subsidize some of the PD and professional development, our trips and things like that. So I forgot to mention that.
In the collaborative programs with Proctors and SCCC and so on, is it ever envisioned that there might be young people from other schools that would be participating in those programs so that there would be a mixture?
For the right price.
Oh, you mean we're selling that, sir?
Yeah, so it's funny you mentioned that. One of the things I talked to Philip Morris about was, if we can do this well, there could be community, you know, kids from Mohonasen come in, and, you know, we used to charge tuition, and there could be an opportunity. But the cool thing with the practice is it's a BOCES run program, so, you know, Mohonasen could have kids go through the BOCES and be there.
What reminded me of it is that on May 14th, I went down for the capstone, the musical theater recognition and so on, and two of our students were participating in that, and Gianna and John, and I asked them afterwards how the experience was for them. At least Gianna said it, I mean, she loved it, and it was partly the fact of, if I'm interpreting it correctly, of working with so many students from so many other schools that were north of here, south of here, all around. So that's what struck me about that.
That's an aspirational goal for us. If we do this well enough, we do believe that folks will want to have folks come in. You know, I heard from some of the board early on, we used to have students come here for the IB program, I think, at some point. And so
Yes,
if
we
we
did,
can.
yeah.
if we
They
can
want to
get
be
back-
part of
yeah.
Schenectady Rising.
So that's long.
Well, thank
Okay,
you.
so where do we sign up then? No, never mind. You're leading the way. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
I know we're going to have other questions, but we do have other items on our agenda yet this evening. So believe it or not, we still have other items on our agenda. So we will move ahead now to the, we thank you all, by the way, the whole team and all of the other people who contributed who may not be here. Student placements. We have a resolution approving the placement of certain special education pupils. I'll accept a motion to approve this resolution.
So moved, Bernice.
Bernice,
Second, Nolani.
Noelani. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that motion carries. We have our business items. We have a revised resolution awarding a contract as the result of a bid for summer enrichment transportation. I'll accept a motion to approve this resolution.
So moved, Nolani.
Noelani, second?
Second, Erica.
Erica. Any discussion?
Just a quick question. Was the amount revised? What was revised?
Yeah, the award was.
The award? Oh.
Yeah, so the amount was different.
Okay.
We appointed the teachers earlier this summer, so it looks as if earlier this evening, I should say, so it looks as if this is coming together at this point. All those in favor of this resolution, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. how many people have we had enrolled for the summer program yet?
I think we're about 800 so far
it's still
with our
open,
goal.
It's still open for people to.
Yep, still open for registration.
Somebody's pointing higher. It looks.
Oh, it's higher than 800? Okay, what's the final number, Trevor?
It's been extended? 980.
Oh, 980, okay, great. Yeah, 900.
Registration has been extended?
No, but we're going out to schools individually now and trying to address it right through the principals and having them identify. So we did not necessarily keep it open later. We did extend it once. Now we're going into schools and saying more of a parent liaison, grassroots levels to say the principals identify these families, and then they'll reach out and say, we'll register you over the phone and try to grow that to get to the 2,000 number.
Okay, next we have a resolution awarding a contract as the result of a bid for food service management services. I'll accept a motion to approve this resolution.
So moved, Erica.
Erica, second.
Second.
Ann? Any discussion?
I just want to say that some of our students are still not happy with our food choice. It is still a struggle. There are different issues depending on the meal and the student. And I'd love for us to grow our own food and feed our kids. That's all.
All those in favor of food, and I'm sorry, of this resolution, please say aye.
Aye.
Any
Get some food.
opposed?
She's asking, I'm hungry.
Martha, we just have to, we have 2 decimal points in here. We just got to make one a comma.
Yeah,
Okay.
I saw that.
All right.
Too late.
Okay,
That's
we
all right.
have
Just wanna make sure.
a resolution accepting the donation of 17 LK water filter stations and replacement filters given to us by St. Peter's Hospital. I'll accept a motion to approve this resolution.
So moved, Bernice.
Bernice
Second, Nolani.
and Noelani. Any discussion?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would just say the question came up in agenda prep. Some schools won't necessarily get them because some of them already have like 7 or 8 of these. So we are doing, Joe DiCaprio and Tyrone and Mike Berry are going through each of the buildings to identify where they'll go. But at minimum, every school will get one if they need one. But some schools may get 2 or 3 because, like, for example, Mount Pleasant has like 8 of them already. So they may not need one.
This will allow them to fill water
Yeah,
bottles.
yeah, this is the fill water bottle versus
And so on.
and
solves
filtered,
some of
exactly.
the problem we have with
The lead.
lead. Okay, all those in favor of this resolution, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Nothing? That motion carries. A resolution approving the statement of uncollected taxes of the Schenectady City School District, tax collector of the City of Schenectady for the fiscal year that commenced last July 1st, 2021. I'll accept a motion to approve this resolution.
So moved.
And second,
Second, Erica.
Erica. Any discussion? I don't know if most of you recognize that this is the norm where the uncollected taxes for the school district are turned over to the city, and the city has 2 years to make us whole with those taxes. So anyone who has any outstanding taxes at this point for the 21-22 year needs to see the city to settle those matters with them. Okay, all those in favor of this resolution, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the motion carries. We have a second opportunity for any comments from the public or the board members.
I just want a brief comment. The board, this is, you all received tonight a budget book. This is new for us here in Schenectady as part of our vision to kind of be more transparent. So please take a moment to dig through. Those watching online, this is available. That has a school-by-school breakdown, total FTEs in each building by position, funding sources. So I'm really proud of the team, Terry Galuli, Karen Corona, and all of the division leaders who contributed to this. There's descriptions of each department, what they do, and then kind of the funding behind each of the ones. So again, it's an opportunity for us to be more transparent with our community and our taxpayers around how the money's being used and for what. And oftentimes we hear folks say, you know, this school doesn't have a counselor. You'll be able to pick up the budget book and actually look at the school and, you know, see what's actually allocated in those from year to year for the last, from this year to next year.
And it's available online on
It's
our
online already on the website, downloadable as a PDF, I think.
I would like to mention that I had conversation with an 8th grader at Oneida today who is participating Sunday in a SPAC special, Saratoga Performing Arts Center special opportunity that they've done I know they did it pre-pandemic, but this may be the first time since the pandemic had started. It features students from across the Capital District, and it's this Sunday. I do not have any more particulars about that, but I know that it has sort of a number of stations where kids perform. She plays violin, and she was going to be performing in an orchestra of some sort. So it's an exciting thing. I know I went up to it several years ago, and you know, I don't think it's been touted enough. I just wanted to mention it, and I'm sure you can find more information on their website. Okay, at this point, we will call an executive session for the purpose of discussing the medical, financial, credit, or employment history of a particular person or corporation. I'll accept a motion to go into executive session.
So moved, Bernice.
Bernice, second.
Second, Nolani.
Noelani? And any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? And that time is 9:26. Ooh, a lot later than